Peppa Pig, Recycling Fun. Mr. Bull, the bin man, is collecting the rubbish. It is early in the morning, so he tries to be as quiet as he can. Crash, smash, splash! But Mr. Bull is not very good at being quiet. Hello, Mr. Bull, snorts Daddy Pig, Peppa and George. Hello, everyone, says Mr. Bull. Peppa and George are helping to clear up the breakfast things. We don't put bottles in the rubbish bin, they can be recycled, says Mummy Pig. Soon they have collected enough things so Peppa and her family set off for the recycle centre. Mummy Pig has the bottles and Peppa has the tin cans. George has the newspapers. Is everybody ready? Asked Daddy Pig. Yes, shout Peppa and George. Clink, clink, rattle, rattle, rustle, rustle. Soon they arrive at Miss Rabbit's recycle centre. Miss Rabbit is sitting up high, up inside a big crane. She is busy recycling all the rusty old cars. It is very noisy. Who knows which bin the bottles go in? Asks Mummy Pig. The green one, says Peppa. That's right, snorts Daddy Pig. Clink, clink. And the cans go in the blue one, says Peppa. Well done, Peppa, says Mummy Pig. Rattle, rattle. Daddy Pig lifts George up so he can empty the newspapers into the red bin. Rustle, rustle. Where's our car gone? Asks Daddy Pig. Stand back, shouts Miss Rabbit from up above them. Miss Rabbit is about to recycle Peppa's car. Stop, shouts Peppa. Our car isn't old and rusty. Ha ha, silly me, says Miss Rabbit. I just love recycling. So do we, laughs Peppa. But we also love our little car. The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa's Frosty Fairy Tale. Once upon a time, it was a cold and quiet winter's day. Peppa and George were playing indoors and making lots of noise. Peppa, George, called Mummy Pig, why don't you look in your box of books and pick a nice story to read? Peppa and George searched through the box and pulled out their favourite books. They giggled with excitement as they looked through the pages. Then Peppa danced all over the living room, pretending she was in a fairy tale. Snowman, cheered George, holding his favourite book. Peppa and George loved stories. That evening, Granny and Grandpa Pig came over to stay the night. Hello, Granny and Grandpa, said Peppa and George. Hello, little one, said Granny Pig, giving them both a big hug. It's time for bed now, said Mummy Pig. Please can Granny and Grandpa tell us a bedtime story? Asked Peppa. Of course, Peppa, said Granny Pig. We'd love to. Once Peppa and George were tucked up in bed, Grandpa Pig showed them a beautiful snow globe. Then he began to tell a story. Once upon a time, he said, there was a cold and magical place called Frosty Kingdom. How do you get to Frosty Kingdom? Asked Peppa. First, you have to travel over the snowy hills, said Grandpa Pig. Then you journey through a deep, dark forest. Finally, you must climb a huge mountain until you reach the winter castle at the very top. I bet the Sugar Plum Fairy lives there and a Snow Queen, said Peppa. Snowman, said George. Peppa and George loved Grandpa Pig's story. I wish we could go to Frosty Kingdom too, said Peppa, as she and George drifted off to sleep. In the morning, Peppa and George woke up to the sound of jingling bells. They peered through the window to find out where the noise was coming from. It's snowing, gasped Peppa, and Granny and Grandpa are outside with a big sleigh and 3 reindeers. Just then, Mammy and Daddy Pig came into the bedroom. Granny and Grandpa are taking us all on an adventure, said Mammy Pig. We're going to Frosty Kingdom. Frosty Kingdom was in Grandpa's story, said Peppa. We'll be needing these, said Mammy Pig, handing out winter coats and woolly jumpers. We're travelling by sleigh. Hooray! Cheered Peppa and George, jumping up and down. Everyone climbed into the sleigh, and they set off. Which way is Frosty Kingdom? Asked Daddy Pig. Grandpa Pig pointed far into the distance. First you have to travel over the snowy hills, he began. Then you journey through a deep dark forest, said Peppa. Finally, you must climb a huge mountain until you reach the winter castle at the very top. That's right, Peppa, said Grandpa Pig. After they went over the snowy hills and through the deep dark forest, they started to climb the huge mountain. Are we nearly there yet? Asked Peppa. Suddenly George saw something move. Snowman! He squealed. Everyone turned to see a snowman waving at them. Hello, said Peppa. We are on our way to Frosty Kingdom. Peppa and George waved goodbye, and the reindeers pulled the sleigh further up the mountain. Up the mountain they climbed, up and up and up, until the sleigh reached a clearing and the reindeers stopped. Are we nearly there now? Asked Peppa. I can't see the magical winter castle. I think we may be lost, said Grandpa Pig. I'm sure it was this way. Oh no, Peppa sighed. What are we going to do? If only there were someone here to help, said Grandpa Pig. Hello, Peppa and George, a voice said. Look, it's Miss Rabbit, said Peppa. Actually, Peppa, I'm the Sugar Plum Fairy, said Miss Rabbit. You're on the right path. Frosty Kingdom is further up the mountain. This is so magical, cried Peppa. The sleigh climbed higher and higher once more, and was nearly at the top of the mountain when, Welcome to Mr. Fox's official Frosty Kingdom shop, said Mr. Fox. Everyone hopped off the sleigh to take a quick look around. Daddy Pig loaded up a basket with sponges, telephones and wool. I'm sure these will come in handy at Frosty Kingdom, he said. Everyone piled back onto the sleigh and they set off yet again. Finally they arrived at Frosty Kingdom. We're here, announced Grandpa Pig. Peppa saw something sparkling up ahead. As they got nearer, she gasped. It's the Winter Castle, and there's the Snow Queen. Look, it's Miss... Hello, everyone, interrupted Miss Rabbit. I'm the Snow Queen. Welcome to Frosty Kingdom. Peppa and George waved and giggled excitedly. I wish we could stay here, said Peppa. Peppa, this is our cabin, said Grandpa Pig. We're going to stay here for the night. Wow! Cried Peppa. This is the best Frosty fairy tale adventure ever. Thank you, Granny and Grandpa. Ho, ho, ho. You are most welcome, said Grandpa Pig, smiling. Peppa and George raced inside the cabin and looked around excitedly. "It's like we're in your story," cried Peppa. "Maybe we are," said Grandpa Pig, laughing. Peppa loved frosty fairy tales. Everyone loved frosty fairy tales. The end. My Mummy and Me. This is Mummy and me. We do everything together. I love doing things with my mummy because she can do anything.
Wow!
Great steering, Mummy. Here are some of our favourite things to do. We love racing downhill together as fast as we possibly can. Whee! Look out, Peppa. My mummy is super fast. We love making little craft projects together. And enormous ones too. Just a few more hours and we'll be finished, Peppa. My mummy is super at crafts. We love looking for adventures together, like zooming deep down into caves.
Wow!
And deep down into snow. My mummy is a super adventurer. We love having fun together at soft play. I think her favourite part is the ball pit. I need a little help, Peppa. My mummy is super funny. We love dressing up together. We pretend to be lots of incredibly important people. And other things too. My mummy is a super dresser-upper. We love dancing together. We spin around and around and around and fall over. Again and again and again. My mummy is a super dancer. But most of all, we love soaring high over the mountains together. Sometimes even without a plane. Don't look down, Peppa. My mummy and me love doing everything together because my mummy is super mummy.
Wow!
The end. Peppa and the Big Train. Today, Peppa and her friends are going on a train ride together. Hooray! They all cheer excitedly. Mr. Rabbit is the station master. He checks all the tickets. Tickets, please. Chug, chug, choo, choo, toot, toot. Miss Rabbit is driving the train. Here comes the big train. Cheers, Peppa. All aboard, says Mr. Rabbit. Then he waves a flag and blows his whistle. The doors shut, clank, clank, and the train leaves. Chugga, 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 chugga. Here are your activity sheets, says Madame Gazelle. You have to spot a boat, a red light, and a tunnel on the train ride. I see some trees, shouts Peppa. Are trees on the list? Asks Emily Elephant. No, replies Peppa. I see clouds, cheers Susie Sheep. Are clouds on the list? Asks Candy Cat.
Meow.
No, replies Susie. I see Grandad Dog, shouts Pip. Is Grandad Dog on the list? Grandad Dog isn't on it, laughs Danny Dog. But he is sailing a boat, says Rebecca Rabbit. And the boat is on the list, adds Zoe Zebra. Hooray! Everyone cheers. Clickety-clack, the train rides on the track, sing the children. Suddenly the train screeches to a halt.
Bonk, bonk.
The ducks cross the track. A red light, cries Peppa. That's on our list. Oh, sighs Emily Elephant. We still haven't seen a tunnel. Just then, the train goes dark. We're in a tunnel, cries Susie Sheep. Hooray! Cheer all their friends. The tunnel is the last thing on their sheets. Last stop, cries Miss Rabbit. Everybody off. But how are we getting home? Asks Peppa. We are home, Peppa, says Madame Gazelle. The children were so busy spotting things, they didn't notice that the great big train had gone in a great big circle. The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa and the Flying Vet. Peppa has brought Goldie the fish to the vet for a checkup. You've got a healthy fish, Peppa, says Dr. Hamster. Thank you, says Peppa. Suddenly, Dr. Hamster's telephone rings. It is Mr. Elephant. Hello, Dr. Hamster, he says. We found a sick lizard in the mountains. It's a gecko, not a lizard, adds Edmund Elephant. I'll be right there, says Dr. Hamster. Dr. Hamster springs into action. Can we come too? asks Peppa. Of course, replies the vet. All aboard the aeroplane. I didn't know you had an aeroplane, Dr. Hamster, says Mammy Pig. Oh yes, replies Dr. Hamster proudly. I'm the flying vet. Mr. Elephant spots the aeroplane in the sky. Thank goodness, he exclaims. The vet is here. When Dr. Hamster lands, she calls, Where's the sick lizard? This poor lizard is upside down, says Dr. Hamster, flipping it over. There, he's all better. Then Dr. Hamster's mobile phone rings. This must be another emergency, she says, answering the call. Hello, Grandpa Pig here, says Grandpa Pig. It's Polly, she's sick. I'll be right there, promises Dr. Hamster. So Peppa, George and Mammy Pig jump back into the aeroplane. Look, Polly, it's the flying vet, cries Grandpa Pig when he sees the airplane. We're going into the sea, cries Peppa. This is a seaplane, Peppa, says Dr. Hamster. We can land on the water. Polly has been ill since we got on board, explains Grandpa Pig. She must be seasick, says Dr. Hamster. And when Grandpa Pig puts Polly on dry land, she soon feels much better. Dr. Hamster's mobile phone rings again. It is Daddy Pig in his office. "There are some ducklings stuck on our roof," says Daddy Pig. "You're just in time," says Daddy Pig. "Mrs. Duck laid her eggs on our roof," says Mrs. Cat.
Meow.
"And they hatched," adds Mr. Rabbit. "But the ducklings don't know the way to the pond." "Who can make a quacking noise?" asked Dr. Hamster. "Quack, quack," says Peppa, and the ducklings follow her back to the pond. Dr. Hamster's phone rings for a fourth time. "Is it another emergency?" asked Peppa hopefully. "Yes, that was Mr. Hamster," says Dr. Hamster. "I'm late for tea. Must fly." "Thanks for your help," everyone cries, waving her off in her airplane. "No problem," Dr. Hamster calls. "It's all in a day's work for the flying vet." The end. Peppa Pig. Peppa's busy day. It is 7 o'clock. Move the big hand to the 12 and the little hand to the 7. At 7 o'clock in the morning, Peppa wakes up. "Time to get up, George," cries Peppa. It is 8 o'clock. Move the big hand to the 12 and the little hand to the 8. At 8 o'clock, Peppa has breakfast. "Yummy," says Peppa. "Can I have some more, please?" It is 9 o'clock. Move the big hand to the 12 and the little hand to the 9. At 9 o'clock, Peppa and George go to playgroup. "Dinosaur," says George. It is 12 o'clock. Move the big hand to the 12 and the little hand to the 12. At 12 o'clock, Madame Gazelle takes everyone for a picnic lunch. "I love picnics," says Peppa. It is 2 o'clock. Move the big hand to the 12 and the little hand to the 2. At 2 o'clock, Mammy and Daddy Pig pick up Peppa and George in their car. Toot toot! It is 3 o'clock. Move the big hand to the 12 and the little hand to the 3. At 3 o'clock, Peppa and George go to the playground. "Swing time!" shouts Peppa and Rebecca Rabbit. It's 6 o'clock. Move the big hand to the 12 and the little hand to the 6. At 6 o'clock, it's time for dinner. "Pancakes!" cheers Peppa. "They're my favourite." It is 7 o'clock. Move the big hand to the 12 and the little hand to the 7. At 7 o'clock, Peppa and George get ready for bed. "Time to scrub and brush," says Peppa. It is 8 o'clock. Move the big hand to the 12 and the little hand to the 8. At 8 o'clock, it's bedtime. Mammy and Daddy Pig come in to say goodnight. But Peppa and George are fast asleep. The end. Peppa Goes Camping. Today, Peppa and George are very excited. They are going on holiday. Daddy Pig has a surprise. It's a camper van, grunts Daddy Pig. Wow! gasp Peppa and George.
We're going on a holiday,
Sings Peppa.
we're going on a holiday in our camper van.
Says Daddy Pig, looking at the map. Daddy Pig, cries Mummy Pig, are we lost? Well, begins Daddy Pig. Yes. Grandad Dog and Danny Dog arrive.
Hello,
Calls out Peppa.
we're lost.
Lost? asks Grandad Dog, confused. Is your sat-nav broken? Peppa, George, Mummy and Daddy Pig don't know what a sat-nav is. Sat-nav is a computer that helps you find your way, explains Grandad Dog. Welcome to the car of the future, bleeps the sat-nav.
Can you tell us where to go?
asks Peppa. Go straight, replies the sat-nav. Daddy Pig thanks Grandad Dog and the family continue on their way.
We're going on a holiday,
Sings Peppa.
we're going on holiday in our camper van.
Suddenly the camper van is low on oil, but Daddy Pig can't find the engine. Mummy Sheep and Susie Sheep arrive in their car.
Hello, Susie.
Cries Peppa.
We've lost our engine.
Lost your engine? Replies Mummy Sheep. I don't know a thing about engines, says Mummy Sheep, but I'll have a look. I'm probably wrong, but this looks like an engine, says Mummy Sheep, lifting the boot. Well spotted, Mummy Sheep, gasped Daddy Pig, pouring oil into the engine. Daddy Pig thanks Mummy Sheep, and the family are off again.
Are we nearly there yet?
asked Peppa, sighing. Just up the next hill, says the sat-nav. You have reached your destination, says the sat-nav when they get to the top of a steep hill. Hooray! Everyone cheers.
Time for bed.
Says Mummy Pig. Peppa and George put on their pyjamas.
But where will we sleep?
asked Peppa. Mummy Pig and I will sleep on this bed, says Daddy Pig, pressing a button. Ta-da! A lovely big bed appears in the room. And you two will sleep upstairs like you always do, says Mummy Pig. Watch this, says Daddy Pig, pressing another button. Brrr. Suddenly the camper van's roof lifts up and a bunk bed appears. Daddy Pig tucks Peppa and George into bed.
The camper van is just like our little house,
says Peppa. Good night, everyone, says the sat-nav. Sleep well. The end. Peppa Pig. Peppa goes ice skating. Today, Peppa and George are going ice skating. They have not been skating before.
Don't worry, George,
says Peppa.
Ice skating looks easy. I'll show you how to do it.
Well, first we need some skates, says Mummy Pig.
4 pairs of skates, please, Miss Rabbit.
There you go, says Miss Rabbit.
Happy skating!
Peppa's friends are skating today too. They are all very good.
Shall I teach you how to skate, Peppa?
asks Susie Sheep.
No, thank you,
replies Peppa.
I'm sure I can already do it.
But ice skating is not as easy as it looks.
Oof!
Peppa falls onto her bottom on the ice.
Ouch! Ice skating is too hard,
cries Peppa.
I don't want to do it anymore.
Never mind, Peppa, says Daddy Pig. Everyone falls over when they are learning how to skate. Mummy Pig shows Peppa what to do. It's easy, she says. Just push with your feet and glide, see? Soon Peppa is skating all by herself.
Look at me, she shouts. I'm skating. Ice skating is fun. Whee! Come on, George, says Peppa. Now I'll teach you how to skate.
But George doesn't need Peppa's help. Look at George, cries Mummy Pig. He can skate beautifully.
Yes, George, you did very well for your first lesson,
says Peppa. Peppa and George love ice skating. Everyone loves ice skating.
Mummy taught me to skate,
says Peppa.
but I taught George.
The end. Peppa Pig. Peppa loves our planet. It was Love Our Planet week at Playgroup. Peppa and her friends were very excited. Welcome, children, said Madame Gazelle, pointing to a picture of the world. This is Earth, the planet we live on. Wow, gasped the children. The little things we do to look after our planet can make a big difference, continued Madame Gazelle. Can anybody think of some things we can do to help?
Recycle,
cried Peppa.
use less water,
said Pedro Pony.
grow our own snacks,
Squeaked Rebecca Rabbit.
walk not drive,
Said Zoe Zebra.
save electricity,
Barked Danny Dog, switching off the light. All excellent ideas, said Madame Gazelle. Well done, but let's turn the lights back on for now, Danny, so we can see.
Okay,
Said Danny. Now, children, I'd like you each to make a Love Our Planet scrapbook at home, said Madame Gazelle. You can fill it with all the things you do to help look after our planet and then bring it in for show and tell. Ooh, gasped Peppa and her friends excitedly. They loved making scrapbooks and they loved show and tell. At home time, Daddy Pig arrived with Peppa and George's scooters.
can we scooter home every day, Daddy?
Asked Peppa.
It will be better for our planet if we don't use the car.
Great idea, Peppa, said Daddy Pig. I love scootering. Daddy Pig raced off and Peppa and George scootered after him.
Wait for us, Daddy,
cried Peppa. When they got home, Peppa and George helped Mummy and Daddy Pig with dinner.
If we put the peelings in the waste bin, Grandpa can use the compost for his garden, said Peppa. Then he can look after our planet too. Lovely idea, Peppa, said Mummy Pig. We can take them to Grandpa tomorrow. The next day, Peppa and George scootered over to Granny and Grandpa Pig's house with the food waste bin. Thank you, Peppa, said Grandpa Pig, thrilled with his gift. Over time, these peelings will turn into compost, which will be very fantastic food for my plants and will help my garden grow very nicely. And it will help look after our planet, said Peppa. Then Grandpa Pig had a surprise. He gave Peppa and George a window box to take home. These flowers are very important, he explained. Bees and butterflies love them. We need insects to help plants make seeds. Thank you, Grandpa, cried Peppa, buzzing around and pretending to be a bee. I'm a busy bee, looking after our planet. Buzz, buzz, George giggled. When they arrived home from Granny and Grandpa Pig's house, Peppa and George watered their lovely new window box. Look, George, cried Peppa. All these bees and butterflies have come to visit our new flowers. We're looking after our planet. After lunch, it was time to pop to the shops. Daddy, remember to bring some old shopping bags so we don't have to get new ones, said Peppa. Great idea, Peppa, said Daddy Pig, picking up some shopping bags to reuse. Right, let's go. Just as they were leaving, George pointed to the light switch. He wants to turn off the light to look after our planet, explained Peppa. Thank you, George, said Mummy Pig. I'll do it for you. From now on, your job can be to remind us to turn off the lights. George grinned. He was very happy with his new job. That evening, Peppa and George tidied up and put everything into the right recycling bins. Let's sing the recycling song, said Peppa. Recycle, recycle, we're going to recycle tin cans, bottles, newspapers. Recycle, recycle, we're going to recycle. We'll take everything to Mr. Bull's recycling depot tomorrow, said Mummy Pig. But there's still one more thing left for us to do today. Our scrapbooks, cheered Peppa. Peppa and George used some of the cardboard from the recycling bin to make their Love Our Planet scrapbooks. Then they drew and stuck in pictures of all the different things they had done to help look after our planet. Wow, what lovely scrapbooks, said Daddy Pig. They're recycled, Daddy, said Peppa proudly. At bedtime, Daddy Pig was the last one to brush his teeth. Make sure you turn off the tap while you're brushing, Daddy, said Peppa. That way you won't waste any water. Slank slapper, mumbled Daddy Pig through a mouthful of toothpaste. The next morning at playgroup, Peppa, George and their friends showed Madame Gazelle their Love Our Planet scrapbooks. Fantastic work, children, said Madame Gazelle. You found lots of ways to look after our planet. I hope you've all learned that when it comes to looking after our planet, every little thing makes a big difference, shouted Peppa and her friends, finishing Madame Gazelle's sentence for her. Peppa, George and their friends love our planet. Everyone loves our planet. The end.
Peppa Pig. Peppa meets Kylie Kangaroo. It is a lovely sunny day, and Mr. and Mrs. Kangaroo have come to visit Mummy and Daddy Pig. "G'day, Mr. Pig," says Mr. Kangaroo. "We met at the airport a while ago, and you said we could visit, remember?" "Did I?" replies Daddy Pig, a bit confused. "We didn't have Kylie or Joey back then," adds Mrs. Kangaroo. "Say hello, kids."
"Hello, I'm Kylie Kangaroo,"
says Kylie.
"I'm Peppa Pig,
Snorts Peppa.
and this is my little brother George." "This is my little brother Joey,"
says Kylie, pointing at Mrs. Kangaroo. Joey lives in Mrs. Kangaroo's pocket. He peeks his head out and surprises everyone. Laugh Peppa and George. Mr. Kangaroo asks Daddy Pig if he's hungry. "I'm always hungry," replies Daddy Pig, rubbing his belly. "No worries," says Mr. Kangaroo, getting out the barbecue. "We'll make lunch for everyone." "Do you like corn on the cob?" asks Mrs. Kangaroo. "Yummy," say Mummy and Daddy Pig. "Let's hope it doesn't rain," says Daddy Pig. "It always rains when we have a barbecue." While lunch is cooking, Peppa and George want to jump up and down in muddy puddles, but they can't find any.
"We can still do jumping," says Peppa. "What's this?"
Peppa jumps as high as she can.
"Now you try, Kylie,"
she says. Kylie jumps high into the air.
"I like jumping too,"
she says.
"Whee!"
"Wow!" gasp Peppa and George, amazed. Kangaroos can jump very high.
"We're playing jumping,"
says Peppa when Rebecca Rabbit arrives.
"What's this?"
squeaks Rebecca, jumping as high as she can. Peppa asks Kylie to show Rebecca how high she can jump.
"Wow!"
gasped Rebecca, watching Kylie spring up into the air. Pedro Pony bounces into the garden on his space hopper.
"Kylie can jump higher than that,"
says Peppa.
"Show him, Kylie."
"Wow!" gasped Pedro, watching Kylie leap up into the air. Kylie is the best at jumping because she's a kangaroo. "Food's ready!" calls Mr. Kangaroo. But just as they are about to eat, it starts to rain. "Oh dear," sighs Daddy Pig. "No worries," says Mr. Kangaroo, putting up a huge umbrella. "The rain makes eating outside more fun." After they finish their corn, the rain stops and the sun comes out again.
"The rain makes lots of muddy puddles too,"
says Peppa, jumping up and down.
"Wow!"
Gasps Kylie.
"That looks really fun. Can we try it as well?"
Everyone joins Peppa and they all make a giant muddy puddle.
"I'm the best at jumping because I'm a kangaroo," says Kylie. "But Peppa is the best at jumping up and down in muddy puddles."
The end. Peppa Pig. Richard Rabbit comes to play. Peppa and George are playing in their bedroom.
"Let's build a house,"
says Peppa.
"House,"
snorts George. Daddy Pig shouts up the stairs. "George, Richard Rabbit is here." George's best friend, Richard, has come to play.
George doesn't want to build a house anymore. He wants to play catch with Richard. Squeaks Richard. Snorts George. George and Richard start a new game. They turn the bedroom into Dinosaur Land. Dinosaur! Roar! Roars George.
You're too noisy, says Peppa, and I've got no one to play with.
Mammy Pig invites a friend over for Peppa. Now she has someone to play with too.
George, Richard,
Shouts Peppa.
Susie is here.
Susie Sheep is wearing her nurse's outfit today. Peppa and Susie tidy up George and Richard's toy.
This is not Dinosaur Land, says Susie. This is a hospital. A hospital must be kept clean and tidy, adds Peppa.
Peppa takes away George and Richard's dinosaurs.
These dinosaurs look ill, she says. They must go to bed.
George and Richard gasp.
Dinosaur!
Shh, says Susie.
Quiet in the hospital.
George and Richard decide to play something else.
Choo-choo! Choo-choo!
The bedroom is not a hospital anymore. Now it is George and Richard's railway station. Peppa and Susie don't want a railway station in the middle of their hospital.
We don't like little children's games,
says Peppa. Susie nods.
We like grown-up games.
Peppa and Susie get out the dressing up things. Now the bedroom is Fairyland.
There aren't any trains in Fairyland,
says Peppa. Susie agrees.
Only pretty things are allowed.
George and Richard burst into tears. Daddy Pig and Mummy Pig run up the stairs. What's all this crying about? They ask. George and Richard don't like grown-up games. Peppa and Susie don't like little children's games. Daddy Pig has an idea. He takes everyone outside. Look at the muddy puddles, he cries. George and Richard cheer. So do Peppa and Susie. Everyone loves jumping up and down in muddy puddles. The end.
Peppa Pig, my mummy.
My name is Peppa, and this book is all about my mummy. She is the best mummy in the whole wide world, and the prettiest. Wow! My mummy is very graceful, like a ballerina. Except when it comes to picking blackberries. My mummy can be very serious. But sometimes she can be silly too. My mummy works very hard at home. And when she's outside, my mummy is very smart. Wow! She knows how to read maps and then make paper aeroplanes out of them. My mummy lets me and George pretend to be grown-ups. But she's always there to hug us if we are frightened. My mummy can do anything she puts her mind to. Especially if someone tells her she can't do it.
Oh no!
The very best thing about my mummy is how she always has time to jump in muddy puddles with us.
Peppa Pig and the Treasure Hunt. Peppa Pig and her little brother George are very excited. They are going to spend the day with Granny Pig and Grandpa Pig.
Hooray!
Off we go, says Daddy Pig.
Hello, Peppa. Hello, George, says Granny Pig. Ahoy there, me hearties, says Grandpa. We have a surprise for you, Granny and Grandpa Pig say.
Wow!
Peppa and George love surprises.
It's a treasure hunt,
Says Granny Pig.
Grandpa buried treasure somewhere in the yard. It's up to you two to find it. Treasure!
George wants to find it. Peppa wants to find it too. Peppa has never searched for treasure before.
How do we find it?
She asks.
Follow the map,
Says Granny.
Hooray!
Says Peppa. Grandpa Pig gives George the pirate hat.
Arr!
Says George. Something isn't quite right,
I don't understand the map.
says Peppa.
Can you help, Daddy?
Oh, yes, says Daddy Pig. I'm very good with maps. This map is difficult.
You're holding it upside down, says Granny Pig.
Whoops, says Daddy Pig. Everyone laughs.
I see,
Says Peppa.
it's easy. X marks the spot where the treasure is buried. It's right between two apple trees, but where are they? You have to find the clues, says Granny Pig. The first one is in a bottle.
Peppa and George search. They find a scarecrow. They find butterflies. They find frogs. George finds something else,
That's not treasure.
says Peppa.
I see it.
Cries Peppa. She and George rush down into the yard.
It's a message in a bottle.
Peppa hands a message to Mummy Pig to read.
Wow!
This pirate has very bad handwriting, says Mummy Pig. I can't make it out at all. Oh no!
Nonsense,
Says Grandpa Pig.
it says to find the arrows and follow them.
Peppa and George follow the arrows to the treehouse, past the chicken coop, and behind the beehive. They follow them up, down, and all around the yard. At the last arrow, Peppa sees something bright and shiny on the ground.
A key. I wonder what it will unlock,
Says Peppa. Peppa looks up. She points.
An apple tree.
She says.
Hooray!
George points and Peppa says,
Another apple tree.
Hooray!
Daddy gets a shovel. He digs and digs and digs. Finally, the shovel hits something hard.
What is it?
Asks Peppa. Daddy reaches down into the hole.
A treasure chest.
Cries Peppa.
Ugh.
Says George. Peppa uses a key to unlock the chest. It is filled with shiny coins.
Gold coins, says Peppa. We're rich.
Hooray!
Ooh,
Says George.
these are better than gold coins, says Grandpa Pig. These coins are made of chocolate.
Hooray!
Ooh,
too, say Peppa and George. Says Peppa.
This is the best treasure ever.
The end.
Hi kids, did you have fun watching this video? Then like and subscribe for more.